Assalamu alaikum and very good morning, my dear students. I hope that you all are fine and doing well. I welcome you all in another Google Classroom. Students, today we are going to start a new unit, that is unit number 10, Inventions and Discoveries. In this lesson, we are going to read textbook pages 97 till 99 half. My dear students, this unit provides information about some key inventions and discoveries of the 19th and early 20th centuries. It explores how these affected industry, trade, education, communication, and everyday life, like electricity, the telephone, cars, the camera, aircraft, television, and computers. So, for prior knowledge, I'm going to ask these questions. Question is, what is the difference between inventions and discoveries? I hope that you must know the answer of this question, but anyways, I'm going to tell the answer. A discovery is recognizing something that already exists for the first time that nobody has found before. And an invention is creating something totally new with one's own ideas and development. So, this is the difference between inventions and discoveries. Next question is, can you name a few inventions? Yes, there are many examples of the inventions all around yourself. So, you can tell the names of the inventions. Okay. So let's have a look on learning objectives. Students, at the end of the lesson, you will be able to identify and describe how electricity was discovered. You should also be able to determine how electricity production developed in Pakistan. You should also be able to explain how and when telephone was invented. So, following are the main points of today's topic. So, let's discuss these. Amber is a natural material that can produce a type of electricity. Ancient Greeks called it electron. Thomas Edison, an American, made a light bulb and then a power station. Before 1947, some private companies in the subcontinent owned power stations. Many parts of the subcontinent had no electricity. Alexander Graham Bell, a British engineer, invented the phone. In 1876, he put up poles with wires fixed to them. The wires went all the way from his house to another house few miles away. He spoke into his phone and people at the other end of phone's wire heard him. Bell started a telephone company. They put up poles and wires to link buildings to a telephone exchange. What is electricity? Electricity is the flow of tiny particles called electrons and protons. It can also mean the energy you can get when electrons flow from place to place. It can then power such things as light bulbs and fans, etc. Actually, electricity was not invented, but that it exists in nature. Scientists were able to discover the process for its production, and inventors found ways of using it. My dear students, if you talk to older people, they might remember a time when few homes had electricity. But electricity has always been with us. There is electricity in nature. Some fish can give an electric shock to animals they want to eat. Amber is a natural material that can produce a type of electricity. The ancient Greeks called it electrons. Scientists have investigated electricity since ancient times. A document from 1001 BCE in the library of Ujjain in India shows how to make an electric cell. Electric cell is a part of a battery. My dear students, electricity wasn't used much until the end of the 19th century. The American inventor Thomas Edison made a light bulb. This is Thomas Edison and he made a light bulb. This light bulb he made first. This was his first invention and this was the first light bulb that he made. Nowadays we are using a variety of light bulbs, tube lights and LED bulbs. You can see a variety of light bulbs in the market and in your homes. After inventing the light bulb, Thomas Edison built a power station so that people could have electricity in homes, offices, and factories and buy his bulbs. Electricity could power many other things, heating and machines at home and at work. This was the first power station that Thomas Edison made after inventing his bulb. And this is another picture of old power station. Power companies had to be set up and cables and wires were required to transfer electricity from the generators to the buildings where it was needed. At first, electricity was mainly used for light, but once there were power companies producing electricity, inventors began to use this energy to change the way many tasks were carried out. My dear students, you know that before 1947, when Pakistan was created, some private companies here owned power stations. There were no cables to carry electricity for very long distances, so many parts of the country had no electricity at that time. In 1947, Pakistan could produce only 60 megawatts of electricity. That is the amount that about 15 modern families use in a year. But by the end of 2010, the country could produce 20,922 megawatt electricity. So it was a great achievement. These are some pictures of the power stations currently working in the different parts of Pakistan producing electricity here in the country. My dear students, another invention of the 19th century was the telephone. A British engineer called Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone. He was most famous for his invention of the telephone. He first became interested in the science of sound because both his mother and wife were deaf. His experiments in sound eventually led him to want to sound voice, to send voice signals down a telegraph wire. One day he sang a note into a piano. The wires in the piano vibrated when his sound hit them. They made the same sound. He could make wires copy sounds. Perhaps people would hear them at the other end of a wire. First he tried short wires from one room to another. It worked. Next, he wanted to make the sounds more clearer so that people could hear words. He made a type of phone. Dear students, this was the first phone that Bell made that sent sounds from one room to another room. This was the first phone. Then in 1876, he put up poles with wires fixed to them. The wires went all the way from his house to another house a few miles away. He spoke into his phone. The people at the other end of the wire heard what he said. Then he made a phone with two parts, one for speaking and one for listening. This phone for two parts he made for two parts, one for speaking and one for listening. This was the second phone that he made. Students, this is the timeline of the telephone. First, this is the first phone that Graham Bell made. That is the second phone that he made with two parts, one for listening and one for speaking. These are the examples or pictures of the second type of phone. Then the Graham Bell then he made a company of making the telephone, and his company made the more modernized the telephones in this form, in this small form, in this form. Then these were called landline phones, and we have seen these phones in our childhood in our homes using our parents. And these were called cordless phones. In our childhood, we have seen or used these phones in our homes. Cordless. These were called cordless phones. These were without wires. These phones were without wires, and we can use this in our homes without wires. And this is a mobile phone, and you know that first mobile phone in the world, a Motorola company has made a first mobile phone in the world. But nowadays we can see that the mobile companies are making the mobiles more modern, and they are updating the mobiles, the features of the mobiles, and making it more modernized. And we can see, and we are using the Android phones and more the modern and latest phones are in our use nowadays. This is the story of the invention of the telephone, that the Graham Bell made first, that can send sounds from one room to another, till the mobile Android mobile phones, that with that we can keep in touch with the whole world sitting at one place. Okay, my dear students, this is the picture of the telegraph poles with wires crossing the streets in New York in 1890, that the Graham Bell's company, telephone company, has fixed. So you know that electric telegraph is a system which sent messages as signals that had to be printed out and could not be used for speaking to people far away. Telegraph means far writing, and telephone means far sound. You know that after that, when Bell started a telephone company, he put up poles. His company put up poles and wires to link buildings to a telephone exchange. Very soon, towns had telegraph poles with wires crisscrossing the streets, so that mostly people can could buy his telephones. Okay, students, it's time to ask plenary questions. For plenary, I am going to ask such questions from you. So, question number 1 is, who invented telephone? Yes, question 1 is, who invented telephone? And question 2 is, what did Bell discover when he tried singing into the piano? So, these two questions were asked as plenary. So, I'm sure that you would be able to answer the questions. Now, This is today's homework. So, as you know, I told you in the previous lessons that be serious about the homeworks, that the homeworks will carry marks in the final result. So, students, you should be serious with it. And today's homework is this: read textbook pages 97 till 99 half, plus answer the question number 2 and 3 of exercise A of page number 99 in notebook. Students, you are supposed to read the textbook pages at least 4 to 5 times so that you would be able to answer the questions. So question 2 and 3, I'm going to read the from exercise A from page 99. Question 2 is, what happened to the wires when a sound hit them? And question 3 is, in which year did Bell first send a message by telephone? So students, these two questions you have to write in your notebooks with the proper handwriting, with proper and neat handwriting, proper writing day, date and homework, topic name, and answer the question in proper way like you do in the classwork. Okay students, with this is the end of today's lesson. Take very good care of yourself and people around you, and please pray for everyone. Have a good day, and Allah Hafiz.